installing the studio, the Whitney studio, which is a space for educational programs that the Whitney will have in place here at the Sculpture Court till 2015.
The studio is made out of containers, made out of 6 containers, 6 20-foot long containers.
Shipping
containers. They were purchased and retrofitted out in New Jersey at a container company where all the structural work was done, mainly all the opening up these walls completely, cutting the windows, these diagonal windows, putting reinforcements around every hole that was made. So basically the 6 containers became 6 modules for construction, and now they're being loaded here.
I think what's remarkable about the way low-tech works is they take these simple shipping containers and they slice them and dice them in very interesting ways, actually almost like origami, and they figure out ways to stack them and internally connect them in ways that take the very simple, in this case cube-like form, and turn it into a very kind of elegant, semi-transparent form that has a lot of complexity to it, both in terms of its transparency, its solidity, and the way one physically moves through the space.
Our choice to work with low-tech, I think, was a inspired one, because they were able to make this structure for not a lot of money. We're using recycled shipping containers, and those shipping containers are about the cheapest way that you can build anything. And it's also ecologically correct to boot, since the whole thing ultimately will be recycled once the Whitney moves downtown.
We call it upcycling. Is the idea of, recycling at its base is the idea of reverting objects back to the material, to the material that they were made with. So in the case of containers, you would melt it down to steel and use the steel again for another purpose. And in our practice, instead, it's more about taking objects as they are and using them for what they are and upcycling those objects.
Actually, in this case, a shipping container which is used just to transport merchandise, therefore is a fairly utilitarian box, is a great example, becomes an art studio for the Whitney Museum.
One of the things that most excites me about the low-tech classroom is where we have placed it. We have placed it front and center at the Whitney. It's actually the first thing you'll see when you come up to the Whitney building. And the first question will be, what is this space? And you will look into it and you will see young people working in the space. And I think right away it sets up, from the minute you come into the museum, the idea of how important education is, how important the next generation is to the Whitney. It says that activity and learning is a central part of the Whitney idea.
So many of our education programs are collaborations with artists, and it makes perfect sense to us to work with an artist to solve the problem of how we are going to create a space for education here at the Whitney.
It's a little bit the same process, and artists in general, but also architects, are always doing that, always looking for the new technologies as a way to stimulate creativity, but also as a way to participate in our culture, in our civilization.